only aught kids will know. This song in this book, not as a joke, as a vital clue that helps the kids determine where their lost friend is. Can you see why I love and hate these books? Salutations, I'm Becca and this is Words and Other Malarkey, and today we are diving into the second Kingdom Keepers book. Now, you may remember, or you may not, hopefully you don't, that a while ago I reviewed the first Kingdom Keepers as part of my Lessons from My Bookshelf series because I have owned this book for a while and I did not remember it that much. The experience was interesting because it was not that good. It was not as good as I remembered. It's pretty shoddily written overall. It has some good things going, and yet, here we are. And I said in the video that I would not read the rest of the books in this series. It's like a 7-book series. I lied. I want to say it's because Disney brainwashed me, and I felt compelled. It was like a little voice in the back of my head saying, read them, you know you want to. So here we are. I read the second one and I have made it a personal goal to read them all and make videos on each of them so that you too can hate them with me. Because, oh yeah, everybody loves rant reviews and I'm totally not going to get pegged for being that person that does negative reviews just for views. Okay, cool, yep. Oh, I'm wearing the same shirt as in the last video because this is the only Disney propaganda shirt I have. It's Big Hero 6, which is not the most, popular Disney property, but it is a Disney property, and this shirt doesn't really fit me anymore. That's fine though, because I look like a park goer, right? And that's what it's all about. It's about the Disney parks. Kingdom Keepers, Disney at Dawn, was a book that was never meant to be written, and I will tell you exactly why. So the first book ends, I would say it ends pretty wrapped up, like it could go somewhere, but it could also be fine. I thought for the longest time it was a standalone. I thought wrong. But I don't think that Pearson ever intended to make this a series, and the dedication will tell you why. This book is dedicated to all those readers who, by email, demanded it be written. You see, someone's listening. First of all, snarky much? Second of all, the readers demanded this be written. He did not plan on writing this. He did not plan on writing 7 of them, but somehow, out of some anomaly, this series actually has a pretty dedicated fan base, and I can actually see why, because it's the Disney parks. It's a lot of nostalgia, and probably a lot of people grew up reading them, I guess, or this one came out in 2008, so yeah, if you were in middle school, you're about my age now, so yeah, I could see the nostalgia factor there. This one's still nostalgic for me, so I get it, man, but I mean, there's a fandom, and I'm pretty sure that the 7th book was kind of fan written. I'm really excited to get to that one. Excited and scared. We're just gonna, I have some notes. Yeah, I've made some notes, and my hair keeps tickling my nose, so I'm sorry if I keep obsessively brushing it back. I can't do anything with it. Okay, so quick synopsis. If you don't know about the first Kingdom Keepers, first I suggest you check out my video if you dare. I apologize, the sound quality is not the best. It's one of my older videos, one of my first. Y'all gotta start somewhere, right? But I did get into a lot of the nitty gritty of why I didn't like this book, or why I just felt really off about it. So basically it's about these 5 teens that work as interactive tour guides for the Disney parks. Well, they have been made into holographic versions of themselves that then are used as interactive tour guides. But this new technology has an interesting side effect, which is that they themselves become holograms and wake up at the park at night as their holographic selves. They meld consciousness with the hologram. I don't know, but it gives them kind of an advantage because Disney, the characters of Disney in the Disney parks have come to life because of the belief in the characters. It's never 100% explained, but you can just, that one I can like let slide, right? And the villains are threatening to take over the park and possibly the world. So they have to race to figure out all these clues to save the park from destruction from Maleficent, who is of course like, she's a classic villain. Yeah, as a concept, it's not bad. Like it definitely piqued my interest, but execution wise, I don't know. Maybe I just aged out of it, but even as like a middle grade based fiction, it's still like kind of assumed its audience was dumber than it was, and it was just confusing at times. And oh, gosh, yeah. So reading the second one, here's the synopsis. Several months after the events of the first book, our characters find themselves at the park for like a parade, and this mysterious lightning storm is going on, and their friends who are like, they're not DHIs, these two sisters, one of them was working for Maleficent but like was under a curse, and they broke her out of the curse. Yeah, so they are warning them of some kind of impending doom, and what ends up happening, I guess, this is me really trying to simplify this in a way that makes sense, is Maleficent has broken free of whatever weird cage they put her in. I thought maybe she didn't die. I thought she got destroyed, but I guess you can't destroy a fictional character, I suppose. And she's at it again. Honestly, the whole opening chapter just makes no sense. Here's the important part. Jez is kidnapped and being held captive somewhere in Animal Kingdom. Apparently the Overtakers are making animal DHIs to like overrun Animal Kingdom. Like, screw Magic Kingdom, you know, they tried, they failed. They've moved on to Animal Kingdom because Disney parks. Ooh, this one takes place in Animal Kingdom. Don't you want to go there now? Don't you want to go to Dino Land USA? And what else is in Animal Kingdom? Oh, I've never been to the park, so all I know is what I've seen in like videos and stuff. Then there's also like rumored to be like a second server. Well, in order to make their own DHIs, they would have to make like, the Overtakers would have to have made their own server, and it threatens the real DHI's server, I guess, and then they have to go to the park at dawn, hence the name Disney at Dawn, because of the Overtaker's second server, if they fall asleep and become DHIs, they get kidnapped and like put in this like eternal slumber, I guess. So they're like trying to stay up and not fall asleep, like Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess, and they go to the park at dawn and try to solve the mystery of where Jez is, and also where the second server is, and also like, oh, and by the way, Jez is like clairvoyant and left them a bunch of clues and like this journal entry, so they're like tracking. It's really hard. It's really, really hard to put this in words, like what this is. It just felt like a big giant scavenger hunt. There were some cool things, but most of it felt like it was like, Disney parks. Oh look, you recognize this. You recognize that. Animal Kingdom. It's Disney propaganda. It is, and it's not all bad. I mean, you can write I don't know. You can see how like my programming is clashing against like my autonomy right now. You know, it's like Disney, but Disney nostalgia, and then wait, no, freedom. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So. Let me just start, kind of like I did in the last video, with what I liked, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. What did I like? I liked that it took place in a different park. I mean, there's so many places in Disney to go, so it made sense to move on to a different park. Animal Kingdom is a natural choice. Still no new characters that are relevant to that park, though. Maleficent is back. There is one new character intro. Chernabog. Do you know who Chernabog is? I didn't. I had to look him up. He's this guy from Night on Bald Mountain. Yeah, that guy. I love that like Fantasia short. It's amazing, and I love that piece of music. But who in their right mind would think that that is the Disney character that you put next on the roster after Maleficent? He's like It almost felt like he was like the final boss battle, but they like moved it up to the second book. Like he should have been like the final boss, but he wasn't. He was just kind of, he was apparently like the big bad, but he didn't do anything. He was just kind of there. It was barely even relevant to the plot. It was just like an excuse to have a puzzle to solve. God, it was so weird. But that was the only other character we got. And he doesn't talk. He doesn't interact. He doesn't do much of anything, actually. He just is himself. And he's very limited in what he could have done. If you've seen the short, you know that he's only got his power for the nighttime because it's like Halloween night or whatever. And yeah, no flying ghost ladies to help him out either. So, you know, pretty lame. Segued right into a negative. All right, back to the positives. There was a scene where they go into an animation lab to like look for something, and there's all these like hanging parts. There's some really cool visuals. I will give it that, because there's so much to work with imaginatively in the park that like, and it's obvious that like, you know, he's been to the parks and been backstage and seen like, you know, behind the scenes. So he had a lot of material, like setting-wise, to work on. So there was a scene in the animation lab. That was cool, like hanging animatronic parts and stuff, like really creepy but cool. There were some clever lines. There's a few, yeah. They tried to flesh out the characters more, but a lot of times it fell short because it just kind of got like shoved in there at like random moments, and the characters, because they were so busy following the plot, there was really no time for them to breathe and for us to like really get to know them. But the one character I did enjoy spending time with was Maybeck, who is, I don't know, the token black kid of the group, I guess, but he was the coolest character. He had the most personality. He was also like the straight man, the one that like calls out the bullshit, and everybody's gotta love that guy, because, you know, there is a lot of bullshit in these sorts of plots, and somebody's gotta know. Somebody's gotta know. He'd be like, wait, why are we doing this? And I'm like, yeah, why are they doing this? So I liked Maybeck. He was also the only character that cussed, but all the cusses were very convenient, because it's a still middle grade, all the cusses were very conveniently censored. Like, dang it, Maybeck said, except he didn't say dang. Or then Maybeck said a word that would have gotten so-and-so grounded. Is really dumb. I almost feel like when they do that, they should just not make characters cuss at all. And why is he the only one cussing? These are 14-year-olds. 14-year-olds cuss all the time. So, not every 14-year-old, but like, that was supposed to be part of his character. He was the one with the potty mouth. And that didn't feel quite right, you know? But whatever, I still liked him the best. So, I want more Maybeck, and I want more of his 2 cents and his common sense, because God, nobody else has it in this book. I don't know if this is ironic to say or not, but I did like that legitimately they used Kiss the Girl by Ashley Tisdale as a thing, a clue that they have to follow. I shit you not. Listen, Charlene said from high on the stilts. I'll explain why she's on stilts later. The kids turned their attention towards the jungle. Not to me, Charlene clarified, to the music. The kids perked up their ears. It was Ashley Tisdale's Kiss the Girl coming over the park speaker system. Yeah, so, asked Willa. Radio Disney plays that all the time. And then they go on to say how, like, they don't play these sorts of songs, blah, blah, blah. It's like a big, like, aha moment. Then they played Raven-Symone's Under the Sea like 4 times. And this is a clue. Man, this book is like a time capsule. It's like so 2008. So 2000 and late. Boom, boom, pow. So, yeah, I actually liked that because it was so ridiculous. And then I went on like a Disneymania binge after that, because I did have like a Disneymania CD growing up. And I was like, oh my god, this is nostalgia right here. It accomplished its goal of brainwashing me. Okay, so I think I've already hinted at the fact that this plot is convoluted, makes little sense, has a little too much going on at once that doesn't quite gel together. The premise itself isn't all the way bad. It just, I don't know, it felt like there was so much missing and simultaneously, like, complicating it. So, I don't know. It was, at times, really difficult to follow the logic that they were following, and also when they explained like the technology of things, because they do that a lot, it would like be really hard to follow also. And it did the thing again where it just contradicted its own magic system a lot. And I can't even get into how many times it does that, but they're barely DHIs, and the only time that, well, mostly because if they become a DHI, they'll go into like an eternal slumber. They call it the Sleeping Beauty Syndrome because Disney. The only one that can turn into a DHI is Finn, the main character, and he does it on command. Like, well, he has to be in like this Zen state, and he can like will himself into a holographic form, and it just... And it's never really clear, so there's holographic animals following them, and like, yeah, I get that like holograms theoretically can look real. I've seen Pixel Perfect. I know that the technology is plausible, but like it would like switch back and forth between, oh, the holograms are slightly glowing, and oh, the holograms look completely 3D realistic. Like, unless these animal holograms were more advanced, which they never say that they are, they just say, oh, the Overtakers also have holograms. Like, how could they not tell that these animals were not real animals? And then I feel like there were scenes where the holographic animals would harm them in human form. But they're holograms, right? Like, the rules just would shift all the time, and I just, oh God, it was confusing, man. It was really confusing. I didn't know what the rules were, and when you take this as a lesson, kids, when you're establishing a magic system, doesn't matter if it's in the Disney parks or in, Middle Earth, you gotta have some rules. Like, otherwise it just goes to hell, and it did. Like, it just was whatever was convenient to the plot. Most of all, this book was just kind of boring. It was the longest short book I've ever read, which makes me really scared because the third one, which I have, it's in my TBR video, is like 3 times the size of this. What more can you do, and how much more can you bore me? I'm very curious to know, and also very scared because, yeah, this took me way longer than its size should suggest. Just way longer. You can see all my notes too. It's really bad. Oh gosh. Geez, what else, man? This book kind of presupposes that you've been to the parks before, because though it does describe the setting, it's in a way that feels so confusing that if you haven't been there, you can't really envision where the orientation of everything is, and it felt like there was a lot of them like climbing in and out of things to like escape or to find clues, and it just would have been so much easier to envision them doing that if I just had a better idea of what this place, wherever they were, looked like. And yeah, I didn't go and Google like the Animal Kingdom or anything like that, but it just feels like it's either you should have been to the parks already, or it's supposed to make you want to go to the parks. So doing its job over here. Oh, some things. Okay, so there were some plot details, pretty big ones, that were changed from the first book to the second book. And it was almost like they expected you not to notice. But me, who like is not that dedicated to these books, noticed. And know what it told me? That Pearson did not read or remember what he had written in his first book. One, and I swear, like, if somebody thinks that I am just totally tripping, like, let me know in the comments, but I swear, they changed the ethnicity of one of the characters from book 1 to book 2. It's Amanda. She's the sister of the girl that is kidnapped in book 2, and they don't actually describe what she looks like per se in the first book. Oh, yes. Oh, wow. I went right to it for once. So this is the only description that they give, unless there's like another one somewhere else in the book, and I did not go and comb through the entire book, but this is like your first impression of her. Amanda Lockhart, who had transferred from the school in late September a few weeks earlier, she had exotic looking eyes, whatever that means. I feel like that usually means green, a deep natural tan, and a few freckles on her cheeks. That's all you get. I just pictured her blonde, honestly. Maybe because like every female protagonist is blonde. That's not true, but that was just my immediate like assumption. I just pictured her blonde, tan, green eyes, freckles. Cool. Okay. Here's a description of her in book 2. Nut-colored skin, thanks to an Asian mother and African-American father, a tangle of dark hair bouncing as running now she kept up with the steady movement of the parade. She seemed almost to float above the ground. Immediately behind her followed Jezebel, and although they claimed to be sisters, it had to be by adoption. Amanda's skin was a rich caramel, her hair so dark brown that it was mistaken for black. Jez had once had jet black hair as well, though it was no longer so, but her pale, translucent skin set her apart, not just from Amanda, but from every girl Finn had ever met. It had depth, as if you could see it. Okay, I shouldn't even keep reading because this is just ridiculous. But, okay, there's actually two things here. One, deep natural tan, nut brown skin. Deep natural tan, nut brown skin, because she's half black, half Asian. Basically, this one's just filling in gaps that this one never really, like, describes, but still, that's like a totally different description. The other thing that you're just gonna take my word for is that in this book, in the first one, they describe them as twins. Not identical, but close. Not identical, but related. It were the words. I should find them. I will cite them because I swear. Not identical, but related. And though they claim to be sisters, they had to be by adoption. That part almost bothers me more. No, this entire thing bothers me because it just shows that he didn't give enough of a shit to even remember what his characters looked like. Oh, there's another thing that they totally retconned. In the first one, the event that signals to the Imagineers that the Disney characters have come to life is that the dragon in the Phantasmic show catches Mickey on fire. It's a big no-no. It's like an animatronic show, so like Mickey's supposed to win. They say dragon. They say dragon. I will prove it to you, I promise. They say dragon. Okay, 3 nights ago at the end of the Phantasmic show, the dragon set Mickey on fire. Obviously, that's not supposed to happen. Blah, 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 blah. In this book, it's Chernabog. Dragon, Chernabog. He didn't reread, guys. He didn't even remember. And maybe that just adds to the charm, honestly. Just adds to the charm. So I think I already said that, like, no new interesting characters are set up. Maleficent's back. Chernabog's barely a character. They don't interact with any other Disney characters except for, even the animals aren't Disney characters, they're just animals. Like, this is the Disney parks. Why isn't, like, Shere Khan chasing them? Right? Or Scar, you know, why aren't those characters like part of this if it's Disney? You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason. And the first one I gave it the benefit of the doubt, like maybe he was like limited in how many he could use. I'm starting to think maybe not. And like the third one isn't looking too promising either. So I'm gonna end with two things to point out, just more to rant about. And then I'll end, I promise. I know this is probably really long. You know, it is what it is. I'm so sorry. Maybe not. One is that this book references the first one in universe. No. I'm not joking. I will show you, I will prove to you that this is a thing. Though the company had never publicly acknowledged the work the Kingdom Keepers had done to save the Magic Kingdom, word had spread through the community. There were few that didn't know the story by now, both inside and outside the network of park employees. A book had been written and published as fiction, but many knew the truth. I feel like I should just end on that, because that right there is, there are no words. That is beyond comprehension right there. Here's a little bonus. There's a character, well, Charlene. Oh, yes, this is actually something I need to go back to because I said I would. Charlene is on stilts for like the entire book. Why? Because she is masquerading. They're all masquerading in the park as employees, hoping they aren't recognized as children or interactive characters in the park. So she is masquerading as a character in the animal kingdom called Divine. If you look it up, it's kind of cool. This you have like a woman dressed in like this vine costume. She's covered in like vines and she's on stilts and she blends into the trees. And it's supposed to be like camouflage. It's kind of like, I feel like it's probably like a, ooh, spot Divine kind of thing. Like she just walks around the park all day and hides in the trees. And they really make a point. Now, if you watch videos, like videos people have taken of Divine, like yeah, she blends in pretty well. Like it's really good camouflage. But once she moves or turns her head, like you can tell it's a person on stilts. Like there's no mistaking it for vines. But Charlene does so much in this book where she's like climbing walls, and they make a point of establishing that there is no way in heaven and earth, under any circumstance, that anyone could mistake this costumed person for a person. There's no way you could tell it wasn't vines. It is that good. It's the magic of Disney. It was so over the top, like heavy-handed. It made me laugh, and it was not supposed to be funny. And I'll show you an example real quick, and then I promise I'll wrap this up, because this is amazing. Just how many times, every time she's in a chapter, it's like she blended in so well, nobody could tell that she was a person. And she would another thing that makes this a time capsule book, they use their Nintendo DS's to communicate. And she has her Nintendo DS, and she's using it a lot to communicate with the other team members. Did nobody see the vines just type it on a Nintendo DS? Like, those things are not subtle, okay? Here's a good example. Finn stole one quick glance. Maybach helped Charlene on stilts through the jungle door and into the enclosure. Charlene's ivy-clad costume pushed up against the rocks at the far end of the enclosure, and within seconds, a miracle occurred. She disappeared. Divine's costume fit into the environment so well that her form appeared as ivy growing up the rocks. There was no mistaking this whatsoever for a girl on stilts. The change was extraordinary. And this is probably like the 10th time, we're halfway through the book at this point, that they have made a description like this. So this goes to show you, there is no way in any stretch of the imagination that anyone could mistake this girl for a person. There is no way by any stretch of the imagination that this is Disney propaganda. No way. This is pure, substance-filled, merited fiction. Boom. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. But I'm sucked in. It's, programming versus autonomy for the rest of this. And I've got like 5 more to go. So you're in for a treat if you like rants and people reading bad books. Yeah, you're in for it, and so am I. So until then, keep it weird, and don't forget to go to the Disney parks sometime soon. I'll be buying my ticket. I'll be going to the Animal Kingdom. I'll be looking for Divine. Where will you be? Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my stupid channel if you want more videos where I read these stupid books. So that's it. That's all I got.